This difficult action is without a doubt necessary to save lives and prevent our hospitals from being overwhelmed in the coming weeks.
Ontario will go into a strict province-wide lockdown on December 26th. Premier Doug Ford says the lockdown is unavoidable because rising case numbers are threatening to overwhelm the healthcare system.
The holidays just also reminds you of family, you know, like Corey and I, we both lost our moms. You know, I've also lost my dad. Corey is my family, and we should be together.
A cross-border couple hopes for a Christmas miracle. They haven't seen each other since March. A live look at what's sort of become a rainy day here in Windsor. Some snow might mix in overnight. 3 degrees outside right now. Nick Sirkovich joins us later with the full forecast. I'm Chris Hensing. Thanks for joining us. Doses of the COVID-19 vaccine are in Windsor tonight, arriving on the same day that the Ford government announces a province-wide lockdown. All of this on a day with a record number of people in hospital for COVID-19 locally. 83 people, 13 are in ICU. Now, fears of a new strain of the virus that are enough to worry local officials. The CBC's Katerina Georgieva joins us live. Kat, we're going to start with the vaccine there. What do we know about the rollout?
Well, Chris, first of all, officials say that this is the beginning of the end, although the end is still a ways away. The vaccines arrived today right here at the Sportsplex building at St. Clair College behind me. This is where they're being stored. The very first shots, they're going to be administered tomorrow. First in line for those shots are staff at long-term care and retirement homes where an outbreak is not taking place. And today has all been about preparing and training for that monumental moment.
Well, it's a good day in Windsor, Essex.
A moment to rejoice as a limited supply of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine arrives here at the Sportsplex, brought in by Santa to mark the season, to be stored in freezers at minus 80 degrees Celsius, guarded by police around the clock. It's not much, but it's enough to vaccinate just under 2,000 people, according to Windsor Regional Hospital.
Staff's on site today. They've been training. They're getting their final training. It's a rather involved process that's been put together and rather detailed.
The vaccine offering some light as the hospital works to manage nearly twice as many COVID cases now than they did at the height of spring.
This is hopefully the beginning of the end. Having said that, yes, it is providing a lot of hope, but that doesn't mean now that the first person in Windsor, Essex is going to be vaccinated tomorrow that this is going to be over anytime soon.
In the meantime, internationally, a new, potentially more contagious strain of the virus in the UK has many concerned. Locally, SAD worries a new strain is already in Windsor, Essex.
I have no doubt that what we're dealing with here is not the same virus we were dealing with in wave one. It seems to be spreading much more efficiently. We know in the first wave, studies showed that it took at least 15 minutes of direct contact, unprotected contact, for the virus to transmit. Now we're seeing instances where there's very minimal exposure, sometimes much less than 15 minutes, and the virus appears to be transmitting.
SAD says he doesn't have definitive proof of this, but says the hospital has made a request to send samples to the National Microbiology Lab to confirm what he believes to be true. Meanwhile, in an effort to get a handle on the spread, the Premier announces a lockdown across Ontario. It doesn't change much for Windsor, Essex, but it does mean a longer lockdown and more remote learning for students in January. For Chatham-Kent, currently in the yellow zone, it means big changes for businesses especially.
We saw it coming. I saw it coming. We were just unaware of when it was going to happen. You know, I think it's what we need to do in order for public safety, for sure.
Some in Windsor say lockdown measures don't go far enough.
Stricter, because there are too many people walking around and they think it's a joke.
Higher fees or even detention, because these people are putting other people's life in the line.
Some people think it's not real, which is also very odd. But you know, I'm just hoping to get through this and get to spring and enjoy the spring.
Katerina, last week, Dr. Ahmed, our local medical officer of health for Windsor, Essex, the health unit here, said that this lockdown wasn't really a lockdown. What does he think of today's announcement?
Well, we actually haven't heard anything from him since that announcement was made. Earlier today, he said that depending on what the province announced, we could see more restrictions coming locally through the health unit. But again, no word from them yet today. However, Dr. Ahmed, before that announcement was made, did issue a notice to the public asking everybody to stay home for Christmas. And this was signed along with other medical officers of health throughout the province. Now, what's different about this urgency to the public is that he's saying don't spend time with anybody outside of your household, whether you're doing it indoors or outdoors. So that's different from what the province is allowing under lockdown. Under lockdown, you can have social gatherings of up to 10 people, but Dr. Ahmed and other medical officers of health are saying don't even do that. Don't even do it in your backyard. Keep it indoors with your own household. Don't mingle with other households. And a reminder that what we do in the next couple of weeks will have a strong impact on what we see in January and into the new year. Chris.
Thanks, Kat. The CBC's Katerina Georgieva live tonight. A quick recap of the numbers today. 127 new cases announced this morning. Currently, we've got more than 1,100 active cases. It's people with a COVID-19 case in Windsor, Essex right now. 3 more people died over the weekend of COVID-19. A woman in her 70s and 2 people that were in long-term care, a woman and a man in their 80s. An update now on the Village at St. Clair outbreak. 5 people who lived at the home have now died of COVID-19. More than 100 cases at the home among residents and staff. Sanjay Maru now on a woman's final days inside and her daughter's call to action.
I was with my mom when she passed.
At the Village of St. Clair, she was known to residents as 89-year-old Slavka Radojcevic. But to her family, she was simply Bubba.
Because my mom was designated palliative middle of November, she was able to have essential caregivers.
Radojcevic died early Saturday morning at the Village at St. Clair, where a COVID-19 outbreak has affected 147 people, both staff and residents, according to the province. Radojcevic's death isn't being attributed to COVID-19, rather other health issues like heart failure and pneumonia. But Doobie says in the final days before her mother's death, she noticed there were few staff who were overworked. The company which operates the home has previously said it is educating its staff on proper PPE use and has brought in employees to backfill those who are isolating.
The privatization of long-term care should be destroyed or stopped, because long-term care should be for care, not for profit.
Radojcevic's funeral is tomorrow. Her loved ones are remembering her hard-working nature, love of vacationing, and her knack for making delicious meals for her family. Sanjay Maru, CBC News, Windsor.
The company that operates the home, Schlegel Villages, released an update late this afternoon saying that a team from Hotel de Grace Healthcare has been sent in to provide support. Now, Windsor Essex is dealing with multiple issues: capacity at hospitals, significant community spread, and this afternoon, City Council heard from Windsor's fire chief. He's also the community emergency management coordinator. And what he said today is that there's been significant spread and pressure in the agri-farm community.
We have site managers at the Agri-Food IRC, which is the Isolation Recovery Center, which has been near capacity for the last 6 weeks. We're partnered there with Canadian Red Cross and Essex Windsor EMS, where we're able to provide any of the guests at the IRC with a health assessment, with personal supports, and to make sure that isolation is being adhered to.
The chief of Essex Windsor EMS says that this second wave feels like a tsunami. Exhausted paramedics and staff have been front and center of the COVID-19 response locally, testing farm workers, long-term care residents, all while responding to other 911 calls, heart attacks, car crashes, strokes. Here's part of my interview with Chief Bruce Crowder today.
We're now getting hit with wave 2, that it's not even I don't want to call it just a small wave. It's almost like a tsunami of what we're getting hit with now, day in, with the case counts rising. It's not just agri-food this time, it's long-term care, rest homes, congregate care, and just the plain community spread, which is now impacting the hospitals with such veracity that we're almost to a point of we don't know what we're going to do moving forward. We have plans in place. I don't want to make it sound like we're unprepared. It's just something that we're not used to. And we're really encouraging the public that let's all get on this together so that we can get through it.
You hit a good point there about this not being like what we've seen before, the tsunami of the second wave. You talk about your team being sent in to the farms, donning full PPE, and to long-term care homes. They've really been going into hotspots where most people have been told not to go. How's that been for them?
I got to say that I'm extremely proud of how they have been and how they've coped and stepped up to the missions that have been placed upon our feet to do. But we are getting very tired from the ground floor, from our logistics department and supplies, and getting everybody supplied up with all of this equipment, finding storage and inventory and all of that, through to our schedulers, because as paramedics are getting tired, and understandably so, being tired both mentally and physically, scheduling is becoming a problem, getting the shifts covered. So our schedulers are dealing with it, and then front lines to the paramedics that day in and day out now, again, full PPE now in the wintertime when the wind is blowing and it's cold, and it's trying to understand that. So we meet the task, we achieve the task, but now we're getting to the point that we are becoming tired. And when we ask them to step up again, yes, we get resistance a little bit. I don't want to say it's full resistance, but it's like we're getting tired, and we appreciate it, and we understand it, and we're trying everything we can to accommodate for that fatigue.
Is this the worst Windsor Essex has ever experienced when we're looking at the day-to-day operations of your service?
I wouldn't say it's the worst that we've ever experienced, because I have experienced the worst. A fog car accident out in the 401. That was a day when we threw all the resources. But as we spoke when we first got on, if we want to take that worst car accident of that foggy day in September and multiply that day in and day out, Groundhog Day, that's what this pandemic is like. Is we have to dig each day to find out what resources we can send and how to manage them, and make sure that we get the right resource to the right people at the right time. And unfortunately, sometimes people that it's not a life or death emergency may have to wait. We will get there, but we will have to wait. What I ask is that the public abide by the rules.
Meanwhile, tickets have been handed out to some for not following the province's Reopening Ontario Act. In Chatham, police charged a man for holding an event with more than 50 people. Carries a fine of up to $10,000. Out in Leamington, the OPP charged a 37-year-old man with failing to comply after police found that he'd had a gathering with more than 10 people. In Windsor, there was a single charge for a non-essential business that remained open, one for no safety plan, and another a municipal bylaw charge. Ontario's premier had strong words for the federal government over testing for the virus at Toronto Pearson Airport. Doug Ford says 64,000 people arrived on international flights in the last week, and that not all of them are following quarantine rules. He says his government wants to conduct COVID-19 tests at the airport as well as roadside checks.
As the Prime Minister's favorite saying is, there's a hole in the roof. Well, Prime Minister, I can tell you, at Pearson International Airport, there is no roof. It's coming pouring in. It's coming pouring in. There is no roof, no checks, no nothing. Go enjoy yourself. And let's hope that you quarantine for 14 days, that I know 100% of the people are not listening.
A cross-border couple who haven't seen each other since March are hoping to reunite. They applied on compassionate grounds last month and are still waiting to hear back from the federal government. With Christmas just 4 days away, they still don't know what's going to happen next.
I guess we're lucky in that we get Skype and Zoom and things like this, but there is no way that it's the same. There is nothing like getting a hug and some emotional support. And, we're all going through a pandemic here, all of us. Okay. But I don't get to have that support from, my fiance, the love of my life. I don't get to have that except like what we're doing right now. This is the kind of connection that we've had over the course of the last 9 months, and it's been really hard.
That's exactly the point. When there is a pandemic what everybody's going through in this new world right now. The person you look to the most to lean on is your partner, your family, your kids, your stepkids. And it makes it extra tough because we aren't able to do that. This absolutely can be done safely. Like, I'm more than happy to come over there and quarantine for my 14 days.
I've always imagined Corey as a second dad. Not getting to see him in person breaks my heart.
I have to be tough enough to face the reality that we may not be able to see each other for a little longer. And there's nothing I can do. I mean, Julia and I will keep soldiering on.
CBC News reached out to the federal government for comment, but have not yet received a response. A holiday light show as CBC compiled some of the best outdoor displays from across Canada. We're going to show you that a little later tonight. We're also going to take a quick look outside here as we see what's in store for us this week. Will it be a white Christmas? Everything else is going a little funky. We'll see if Nick Sirkovich can deliver that for us next. An extremely rare planetary event is taking place tonight for skywatchers. So rare, in fact, that it hasn't happened in nearly 8 centuries. The astrological event known as a Great Conjunction will light up to create what's known as the Christmas star. Fiona Odlum has the story from Regina.
If you have a keen eye, you may have noticed 2 fairly bright objects that resemble stars, and they're just right along the western horizon just after sunset. Well, those 2 stars are actually planets, and they're Jupiter and Saturn. On December 21st, the day of the winter solstice, the 2 planets will look so close together, it'll appear as if they're almost touching. Astronomers call close pairings like this conjunctions, and this conjunction, they call this a great conjunction. The last time the pair were observed to be this close together was in 1226, almost 800 years ago, when Genghis Khan was still in power. Genghis Khan, remember him? Okay, so how do we see this once-in-a-lifetime event? Well, you need a really good view of the southwest horizon at sunset. Now, you don't need any fancy equipment. You can see it with your bare eyes. Some binoculars would be great. A telescope, well, that would be awesome. And also a nice clear sky would be also very, very helpful. But you really don't need all that stuff to get a great view. Happy Great Conjunction!
Joining us now for a live look at the weather is Nick Cirkovich. Apparently we don't need anything, just a clear sky. We got that kicking around, or?
We have everything but the clear sky.
Perfect.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, I know. Just another 800 years, okay? Just hang in there. Another 800 years and we can see it again.
Well, I love that. Optimistic.
Sorry guys. Weather headlines. Well, it's unseasonably mild, I'll give you that. Mixed precipitation headed our way into Thursday and also Wednesday. Depends kind of where you are. I'm going to show you that in a second here. And question mark, white Christmas. You might not like the answer depending on where you are, but some areas in our forecast region will see it. Here's a look at temperatures right now. 3 degrees in Windsor. Gets a little bit cooler as you head eastward there. We've seen some showers continuing throughout the day today. This is very light stuff. It's kind of broken up at this point. However, unfortunately, it is bringing with it cloud cover that is basically sticking around for tonight. This will change over to some wet flurries, so still some isolated, spotty, light showers, switching to some wet flurries as we head through the evening hours tonight. That kind of clears out heading into tomorrow. Tomorrow morning still cloudy. By the later afternoon hours, I think we'll see some sunshine in there. And then we've got a bit of a push of mild air coming in advance of a system. It's actually making its way eastward. It's now out on the west coast, or in Western Canada anyway. And as it pushes its way through, heading into Thursday, we're looking at rainfall. This is Wednesday into Thursday, rainfall. And then on the backside of this, for some areas, especially out around London and then further eastward, we're going to see some snowfall with it. And that will stick around as we head into Christmas. I think for Windsor, unfortunately, we're looking at rain, and then we don't quite get enough to see that that sort of white Christmas as we wake up on the 25th. But we'll watch it over the next couple of days. We're still a little bit far out for that. 2 degrees as we head through tonight. Again, wet flurries or some light showers into the evening hours tonight, and then it sort of tapers off for tomorrow. Starts out as mainly cloudy skies, a few hints of sunshine in there as well. 4 degrees in Windsor. The average for this time of year just shy of 1. So we're still above seasonal, and we stay that way as we head through, so that should be a 4. We stay that way as we head into Wednesday as well. There's your rainfall, though, on Wednesday. Could see a few flurries, and then Thursday into Friday. This is what I'm watching here. I'm hoping we're going to see just a little bit of snow, southwestern Ontario, so that it sticks around as we head into Friday.
Yeah, just a dusting.
That's right. And if not, I'll see you in 800 years.
I love it. Thanks, Nick.
All right.
Now, coming up after the break here, we went across Canada to find some of the best holiday light displays. You won't want to miss it. Now, this pandemic has changed a lot of plans for the holidays this year, but decorating continues. CBC stations across the country share videos of what's happening in their communities, put together a little mix. Take a peek. Now, this holiday season is not about competition, but we saw some pretty big displays there. If you have one in Windsor, Essex that you've got a photo of, send it to us. We'll share it on our pages as well. CBC Windsor is always looking for that type of stuff. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. That's where you can send it to us to get us to show everybody else. The Rick Mercer Report is up next. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.